What is up, DTube Steam blockchain? So today I want to talk about the recent spike in Bitcoin fees, and Cointelegraph actually made a very good article covering this, which is kind of nice because usually Cointelegraph make these short articles that doesn't really cover anything important in this crypto industry, but now they actually covered this. So we had a recent Bitcoin halvening event, which reduced the miners' reward by 50%, the amount of bitcoins they get per day. I think it went from 1800 to like 900 BTC per day or something like that. I'm not sure if that is correct, but I think it is. So, and that was a couple of weeks ago. So what has happened now? Well, what has happened now is that we have a record like the cost of the average Bitcoin transaction to make a Bitcoin transaction has spiked, and it hit an all-time high on the 20th of May, which was 2 days ago, where one Bitcoin transaction, the fee to do that on average was $6.6, and it's been just going up at a record speed since I would say April the 28th. Ever since then, it's been slowly kind of climbing up, and it was at around $2 at the Halvening event, and now it's around $6 to do one transaction. If you can recall, in 2017, I wasn't around exactly. I came in January 2018, but there was a spike 2017 late there where one Bitcoin transaction cost $60. So it's not that high yet, but still, it's this doesn't look that good, right? That people thought that they had fixed the Bitcoin fee transactions, that it was super high, but no, now this problem has resurfaced again, and it still seems to be now, even today, at like $6 to do one Bitcoin transaction on average, which is pretty high because on April the 12th, it was the average one was 39 cents, and now it's $6. I mean, if you take the average normie mainstream people, if they come into this space and they see that one transaction costs this much, I mean, it kind of starts to look like their bank, right? It doesn't really seem to be mainstream friendly at all. And that is 10 years into the Bitcoin history. So let's take a look a little bit at this Cointelegraph article. So very interesting thing here. This was an article written by Stephen O'Neill on Cointelegraph with the title "As Bitcoin Halving Thus Settles, Network Awakens to Costly New Reality." So it's very interesting. So the Bitcoin hash rate that people usually look at, like, oh, how secure this network is. So a lot of Bitcoiners, they kind of enjoy that it went up during a long period of time. But now, after the halvening event, the Bitcoin hash rate has sunk dramatically, and that the transaction fees, as I talked a little bit about here, has spiked to $6 after this Bitcoin block reward. So first, the hash rate, it is 25 to 40% lower. And also you have another thing here, and that is that new blocks that usually was every 10 minutes, they found like a block, but now it seems to take 14 minutes. So it seems to take a longer time to find a block and get a confirmation, which means if you do a transaction, even if you pay a higher fee, it still is going to take a longer time to get that kind of confirmed. Because many times with Bitcoin transactions, you need multiple confirmations. So that if you add 4 minutes on every block to find it, that kind of eventually becomes a lot of time if you need to wait for a lot of confirmations. So one interesting thing here is that the Antminer S9, that has been kind of turned off now because it seems like it wasn't profitable anymore. And you can also see that the hash rate went from, I think, 120 million. Is that? I'm not sure if that's 120 million, but something 120 in hash rate down to around 95. So that seems to be a pretty big kind of drop there in hash rate. And what else? Oh yeah, yeah, as I said there. So in the past was 100 to 120 blocks found per day. Now it seems to be down to 95 blocks per day, which is around 2017 levels. So you have this still ongoing problem of so people want to make people want to make kind of Bitcoin mainstream, but you still have these like major issues 10 years in where first this digital gold story doesn't really seem to be working that well because we're still 50% down since 2017, and now we have these halvening problems of higher transaction fees and block times increasing by 4 minutes, and also that the hash rate is sort of going down. You also have this quote from a so-called crypto consulting firm, BitPro, Mark the Area CEO, that said this thing. Even though fees are high relative to the weeks before the halving, they're nowhere near peak in 2017. Sure, but $6 is still a lot for one transaction. And then he said, and sit at about the range of mid 2019 rally or the early days of the 2017 bubble. Okay, so he say mid 2019 rally, but that was just the plus token scam. I'm not even sure if he's aware that it was just a scam pump, the so-called mid 2017 or mid 2019 Bitcoin rally. It was just a scam pump with plus token scam. So it's like it seems like people are pretty ignorant in this industry, and it's like if they have maybe a Bitcoin company or something like that, maybe they do not want to see the real reality. So a lot of the Bitcoin community thought that the halvening would be amazing and you would see a massive pump. But then a lot of people tried to say the reality that for the miners, earning 50% less, that's probably not that good for the network because they're getting half what they got before, and the holders just want to wait for some rich billionaire to kind of pump their bag, but they don't consider the reality that if miner revenues goes down, maybe a lot of miners have to stop mining Bitcoin. So yeah, on May the 10th, it was miners earned 2,800 or 2,188 BTC, around a little bit more than 2,000 BTC per day. And now on May the 12th, or on May the 12th, and probably like today, it's like more like 850 Bitcoins that they're kind of earning. So, and also you have this F2 pool, which is a mining pool in Bitcoin that has 20% of the hash rate. So a funny thing happened where they mined 6 blocks in a row, and people are kind of considering is this actually should this actually happen? That is just like one guy that mines it for like 6 blocks in a row. Shouldn't there be more guys? So people have some theories about that. But yeah, I mean that is a little bit. Oh yeah, terahashes. So 100 it was 120 terahashes per second, and now the hash rate is down to around 95 terahashes. So I mean, maybe this have something to do with the halvening. I mean, probably it has something to do with the halvening, and yeah, it seems like they kind of struggle a bit right now. The kind of like the Bitcoin network, and who knows if they can solve kind of these fees. Who knows? I mean, if it would be different, like if they already struggle with revenue already right now, and if the mainstream is kind of not buying into the Bitcoin narrative and kind of pumping it to the moon, or like institutional investors pumping Bitcoin to the moon, you may eventually run into problems of everyone is poor, and it's like nobody really has a big bag of money, and then it's like who's going to fix the Bitcoin and who's going to market Bitcoin. Because if you go to YouTube right now, there's a lot of scammers that are basically marketing Bitcoin, and even so there's a lot of scammers that are taking faces of popular people and making a scam video and call it like 5,000 BTC giveaway, and that makes it so the general population of people, they associate Bitcoin with scam, which is obviously not good for Bitcoin. But since Bitcoin doesn't have any central guy that can like try to fix this, you run into these problems of well, who is going to fix the image of Bitcoin? Are the poor new holders of Bitcoin that came in 2017 or like 2016? They don't have that much money. They don't have that much revenue because sure, it went up a lot and then it went down. So they're kind of also poor. So they can't really do that much to improve the image of Bitcoin. And then you have these like traders that just use Bitcoin hype on YouTube daily and just use referral links to try to say, oh, sign up here, you get $50 if you give your KYC to this place. And they're kind of just like, they're not really helping their community because they just try to make them wrecked doing some stupid trade with Bitcoin. So it's like it's kind of fun when you kind of look at the reality of things. If there's not going to be like if large investors doesn't pump BTC and if the mainstream doesn't pump BTC, who's going to pump this and who's going to improve the image of Bitcoin? It seems like it's just going to be this like network that just like everyone thinks someone else is going to do the work, but then it's like, yeah, nobody wants to spend money on improve the image of Bitcoin. And then you have these recent event with the Bitcoin halvening. It's super expensive to make a transaction, and then that the blocks takes longer time. It doesn't really seem like the Bitcoin gold narrative is holding up because Bitcoin can go from $10,000 and then drop to $3,700 in a period of I think just 2 weeks. I mean, how can that be gold? It seems kind of risky. So yeah, that's what I want to talk a little bit about today. Uh, Good article from Cointelegraph covering this, that the transaction fees for Bitcoin is kind of high right now. Yeah, have an awesome day, DTU, Ben Stein, blockchain.